We're going to start out in this particular assignment by doing an underpainting of rectangles in a light middle value as you see on the screen. Then the next value that I'm going to put in will be the third value because of the white between the rectangle triangles, and also the triangle itself are value 1 and 2. And so this is the third value, which is the largest of the value ranges. And I'm looking at it with a wide brush and going and making uh, contrasts between lights and darks. That's basically all I'm looking for. Is not filling in a doorway or whatever, but just lights and darks, and to see where I need them, and also looking for the largest shape of this middle value. Middle value, because the value that follows it will be darker than this value. So let's just look along here and see how I'm trying to figure this out. I'm sorry about the reflection, but you can see how big the shapes will be as I join them. They start out small, but then I join them together. And so I'm going to get sort of a routine line, basically shapes in the foreground. And then I'm going to go for the big shape from the back of the shed itself. Now you can see the lighter value of the underpainting is there, but I'm not going to follow that exactly. I'm going to go outside that boundary and then go up by the roof. So the roof is going to be showing up more so than the triangle that I've painted there. Okay, so here I'm just putting in getting some clues from the photograph. As you can see, some horizontal clues. You can see the porch now is coming out, and just a quarter-inch flat brush. And it's nice to use a flat brush because of the fact is that you can go ahead and not draw with it. It's basically shapes. And so that's why the flat brush is used, so that you will look only as a non-objective shape instead of a shape that looks like a tree or a shape that looks like a window. It's just a rectangular shape. And I like to make them as angular, diagonal as possible to carry on with the underpainting. That I set up a movement or a pattern of diagonalness to the entire painting. Now some of these will show up in your particular view because they're darker, but they're not really dark. I've mixed a lot of middle value, and this picture shows you exactly how big these shapes are. And so now I'm going to go in with the darker value. Over to the left of the painting are the three values that I have on here so far: white, light, and then middle value. And I have to dry this off now so I can replace the darker values on top. And so that takes just a little while just to get it dry. And then I'll mix up a darker value. Now I'm going to put that darker value for purposes of instruction. I'm putting it over to the side just to show you that these are the four values that you will be painting this picture of. And it's just not as dark as I like it, so I'm going to go back and make it just a little darker. Now I really should have a bigger brush, but I'm choosing sort of a rigor that I can draw, because then I can get into some of the crevices of small areas, like for instance right up at the tip of that particular house, and then there's a separation between the porch and the house, or the shed I should say. And then we'll bring in some of the lines inside the shed to show that there is wood. And then also there's the under overhang that I'll put in. Now that overhang does not have to be solid. It can be broken up. Always stress surprises in your painting. So that's not a surprise. I completed it totally. But when I go ahead and paint the real one, I will look for that, so that you you don't get static in your painting, so that the eye and the mind will be entertained by the unexpected. And so you want to keep that in mind. Now I'm going to get a darker right underneath the shed, and okay, now that's unexpected because I didn't complete the entire window, and then it's dark right underneath, so give a little bit more contrast to the roof shed, the porch, and there's a dark window right inside there, or a doorway, whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference because basically these are just shapes as we are painting them, and the viewer can interpret them how they want to. Now it's nice to put some calligraphy right on top of the middle value with this dark values I'm doing, showing you the structure of the shed, and also a little bit of the roof. With a few lines, you can see that underpainting goes right through the roof and the roof shed, porch rather, and that ties it all together. It's it's the glue that holds the painting together is the underpainting that I put down beginning. And so now I'm going to look and see if I can bring some darker shapes and make up my own foreground. As you can see in the picture, it does not have a very interesting foreground. And so I'm going to just put some shapes, dark, middle, and light shapes. Some will be larger, some will be small. And then also come in and say, okay, there could be a tree back in here, like so forth. And there's not one in the picture, but in my picture it should be. And and so as I look, I'm still got this dark value in my brush, and I'm going to make it darker right at the edge of the shed, so that it'll make a contrast. I always talk about counter change, and counter change can come in shapes, it can come in value, and it also can come in line. Uh, line can be thick, then thin, and then small. That line can be light, middle, and dark. That line can be white to dark. That's counter change. Anything that will alter it, like big shapes, small shapes, and the different values of shapes are all considered counter change. Now, as you can see, as I keep working, my shapes will be smaller with the darker value, um, because the bigger shapes that I put in was the third value, and now this is the fourth value, and so it's calligraphy, few accent marks, and that's about it. You can see now how entertaining the foreground is becoming because of that underpainting that went through the foreground, and so it's not all just white, and also these shapes can be it's like a coat rack. This is what Frank Webb would say when you put this design underneath. You have to have a structure underneath in order for the small stuff to hang on to, and that's basically what it is. The technique that of the diagonal lines underneath comes from Robert Wood, California artist, from his book on watercolor workshop. If you're interested in getting that book, I don't know if it's out of print or not, but it's a very good book. Okay, so there we go. Now I hope you can see in this particular painting all of the cohesiveness of the painting, how it's all tied together. Not one piece stands out and floating or needs to be taken out. It's all connected. And it's all connected because that first application of a design, then the third value, that's larger shapes that bring out the form, and then the little calligraphy marks that I put in here and there just to have a way of direction, and also tension with these marks next to another value. All of that applies to a good painting. Now just keep in mind that when you start to do something like I just did on the roof, you don't have to go all the way across because you started it there. Just do about 5 or 6, always an uneven number, but put it in. Now this is what it looks like up close. I'm sorry it's got cut off, but you'll see it in your handout that I sent you in the email. But thank you for watching this video.